So, summer, it's almost here, and that means a lot of you guys are probably wondering, how do I look a little bit better, get a little bit leaner, and go for that elusive six-pack? This is probably the most common question I get asked. But the second most common question I get asked is, okay, fine, I figured it out, I know what I have to do in order to get leaner and get a six-pack. So just how long is it going to take for me to get there? And this is actually one of the questions I love answering the most, because chances are, if you know the answer to this, there's a much higher chance of you actually getting there. Let me explain. So when it comes to your fitness goals, you always have two choices. You can go for ambiguous or specific goals. At the end of the day, the final destination is the same, getting that six-pack. However, getting there, it's a little bit of a different story depending on which approach you take. To illustrate, let's assume this is you. You could be skinny, fat, super saiyan, it doesn't matter. The same approach applies to everybody. If you take a somewhat ambiguous approach saying, I want to look better, I want a six-pack, I don't know how long it's going to take, it could be 4 weeks, 4 months, 4 years, I have no idea, I want to look a little bit better. I don't know what body fat percentage I need to get to, I don't know how much weight I need to get to, I just want to look good. And that's fine, you can go for that, but chances are that it's going to be somewhat of a difficult approach, and you may get demotivated or you may get lost along the way. And in my experience, for a lot of people, there's a decent chance you may never get there. However, if you have a specific number in mind, I want to get to X body fat percentage, or I need to lose X pounds over what I predict to be, 12, 14, whatever weeks, and I have a good understanding of what I need to do, there's a much higher chance of you getting there. And it's not even a path, it's like, it's just a highway straight to your goal. Abs. Essentially, this video is going to try to answer three things. About what body fat percentage are you at right now? Around what body fat percentage do you need to get to in order to have a six-pack? And exactly just how long will it take for you to get there? So when it comes to body fat percentage numbers, the American Council on Exercise has a pretty good resource estimating at what body fat percentage would you be if you were obese, average, relatively fit, a really fit athlete, or essential body fat. That's pretty much the minimal amount of body fat you need just to stay alive. The problem is though, what does this mean? I want to give you guys a few examples. So right here, this is essentially me at pretty much the biggest that I have ever been. This is approximately somewhere between 200, 205 pounds. This is a few years ago when I did somewhat dirty bulk. It's not that high. I'm nowhere near overweight or obese or anything unhealthy like that, but I am nowhere near what is usually standard for the YouTube fitness community. When fat starts to go to your face, you are definitely eating good. This is not even athletic. This is probably, the more so standard young American male. In my opinion, this is approximately 18 to 20%, essentially around that 20% body fat level. Moving on, this is me cutting down a little bit. This would probably be somewhere in the low 190s, high 180s. I believe this is like 190, 191 pounds around there. And as you can tell, definitely a little bit leaner, but nowhere near like, the six-pack, it's not really there. Maybe in the right light, maybe if I really flex hard, it's coming. You can kind of see that it does look a lot better. The midsection is starting to trim down a little bit, but it's not like you can say, that's it. I have a six-pack, I have abs. You look like a good, athletic individual, maybe someone who plays sports, maybe a young male, someone who, takes care of themselves somewhat. A good, healthy body fat percentage nonetheless, but we want to get a little bit leaner. We want to get to the six-pack, and that's why we have to move on. This being around 14 to 17%-ish range, that athletic level, we need to get down even lower. As you guys can tell, the majority of the public would probably say this is a six-pack. You see the abs, they are there regardless of lighting. You don't need the perfect lighting, you don't need down lighting. This is actually me from a photo shoot I did a little while ago, and this is essentially me at a six-pack. That being said, it's not like crazy. This is, good for the beach. This is probably good for, like those Abercrombie models or something. But it's still a little, this is good for like 99.99% of the population. There is one more step, and I've only done this a few times in my life. This is like under 10% body fat. I've done this a few times in my life, and I've only done this for like maybe 2 to 3 weeks at most, because it's very difficult for me to hold as a natural athlete. At this point, not only do you have a six-pack, but it is just like razor sharp. Like your abs are just protruding. There's so much contrast. It's like there's really deep cuts. This is essentially when you've gone past like, hey, I have a six six-pack, I look good, to something even more advanced. And this is not something I recommend for a lot of people. There's just no need to do so. It's very difficult. It just starts to suck. This would probably be the difference between me at like the first show I've ever done, my first ever bodybuilding show when I was kind of new to this, all the way to essentially, me during my 2016 and 2017 competition preps, at which point I had to get down to like 169 pounds, which for me is very, very low. So guys, what I want you to do is look at this, and it's not a perfect science. It is somewhat of like a general range. Get an estimate of what you think your body fat percentage is right now, and understand that to get a six-pack, you're probably going to have to get down to that. In my opinion, I would probably say 13% at the absolute highest. And now that we've established that, it's time to actually get into the good stuff. It's time to calculate just how long it's going to take for you to get there. And guys, you know what that means. It's time for my favorite type of video. Time to break out the whiteboard. Okay, so the first thing we need to figure out is your current lean body mass. This is essentially what does your body weigh once we subtract fat mass. We just magically rip the fat off your body, what is remaining? So we calculate this by... Guys, to figure this out, all you have to do is take your weight and multiply it by 1 minus your body fat percentage. The reason you do this is because we're trying to figure out what percentage of your body is lean. So, if you have an individual who is, let's say, 20% body fat, this would be 1, which is 100%, minus 20%. This would be, in this case, 80%. And if, a 200-pound person times 80%, you would have a lean body mass of 160 pounds. All right, so take that number, remember it, and we've established that lean body mass is 160 pounds. Next part, step 2, we need to figure out not your current, but your goal lean body mass. Let's say you want to cut down and you want to have a six-pack. Your lean body mass, unfortunately, it is going to change. And you guys may be thinking like, no, Igor, I want to keep my lean body mass. I want my fat mass to change. Lean body mass should stay the same. Unfortunately, that's not exactly how your body works. When you are dieting down, when you are eating in a calorie deficit, you're probably going to lose at least some lean body mass. There are things we can do to mitigate this and minimize this so that the majority of the weight you lose is fat mass, but it's very difficult for it to be absolutely zero lean body mass lost, unless you're on steroids. For those guys, anything is possible. So we've established that your current lean body mass is about 160 pounds, but let's say in the future, when you cut down, you're gonna lose a little bit, and we're gonna make sure that it's not that much, but let's say you keep 97% of your lean body mass. And in my opinion, that's still, that's a pretty conservative estimate. There's a good chance if you do things right, you exercise, you eat protein, it might even be less than that. All we have to do in this case is take your lean body mass, which we just calculated, and multiply that by what we just said, approximately 97%. If you do things wrong, this could be even more. The people that don't eat right, they do crazy amounts of cardio, this could be like, 80%. Like, congratulations, you lost like 10 pounds of fat, you also lost 10 pounds of muscle in the process. That's why you gotta do this right. So guys, in this example, remember, lean body mass is 160 and multiplied by 97%. Muscle, lean body mass, muscle retention, this comes out to approximately 155 pounds of lean body mass. I'm going to call this lean body mass 2. That's 1, that's 2. This is, you now, and this is you in the future. When you got that sexy, cool new six-pack, I don't know what I'm doing. Step number 3, we need to figure out your goal weight. Make sure you guys understand that this is your goal weight, not your goal lean body mass. That's something we just did, that's a different thing. And the way you figure this out is you take that number, which we just figured out, lean body mass 2, so that's the future, that's your goal lean body mass, which we figured out to be 155 pounds. And you divide this by 1 minus your goal body fat percentage. And the goal body fat percentage, as I just said a few minutes ago, is around 13%. Around the time when a decently visible six-pack starts to form. You're not a crazy bodybuilder, but you look pretty damn good. You are what the general public would say, he's got a six-pack, I can see his abs, he looks sexy. It's the second time I've done that this video. Okay, so now let's plug in the numbers. So we're gonna take your goal lean body mass and we're gonna divide it by 87%. That's because 1 minus 13%, which a percentage is just the same as saying a decimal. So 13% is like 0.13. What you end up with is 87%, otherwise known as 155 divided by 0.87.
And this comes out to 178 pounds. It's like technically 178.4, but whatever. This is very important because we figured out your lean body mass, all that stuff, but this is the body weight at which you will be approximately 13% body fat. This is very important. Okay guys, step 4, the final step. We're almost there. We've almost figured out our time to six-pack value. The final equation that you need to know is simply weight 1 minus weight 2 over your rate of weight loss. And what I mean by that is we take your weight 1, which is your current weight. So how much do you weigh right now? Remember, we established that as being 200 pounds. Now, we subtract your goal weight, which we just figured out. Remember, that's why I kind of underlined it a couple times because it's a bit important, around 178 pounds. This is essentially 22 pounds. You need to lose 22 pounds of body weight. That is the most important thing. But that's not enough because we're not trying to figure out how much weight you want to lose. We're trying to figure out how long is it going to take you to get there. And that is why you need to divide this by your rate of weight loss. Now, this is something which can get a little tricky. If you are currently dieting, let's say you've been doing this for maybe a month or two, a few weeks, you essentially have a general idea of how much weight you are losing on a weekly basis. By the way, guys, that's very important. When I say rate of weight loss, I mean rate of weight loss per week. Let's say the person in this example, he's been dieting for 4 weeks. He started at 200 pounds and now he's at 196 pounds. So congratulations, you've lost 4 pounds. It's been 4 weeks. 4 divided by 4, it comes out to approximately 1 pound per week in average rate of weekly weight loss. And we would just simply plug in here, we would just say 1. That's it. Very nice and simple. However, that's in one case. But you guys may be thinking like, okay, I haven't really started yet. And what's a good rate of weight loss to aim for? And for that, usually guys, a very nice simple rule of thumb is approximately 0.5 to 1% of your current body weight. So if you weigh, in this example, 200 pounds, a really fast rate would be 1%, and 200 times 1% equals simply 2 pounds. So you're losing 2 pounds per week. That's relatively fast. In fact, anything faster than this, and it's almost like, whoa, I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it's actually a little fast. If you want, you can slow it down, introduce some calories, maybe cut down the cardio. You're losing weight very well, so you can slow down, take a chill pill. But, let's say you're on the lower end, you're taking it a little bit easy, you're dieting, you're, doing cardio, but you're not doing a crazy amount. In that case, maybe it would be 200 times 0.5%. This comes out to 1 pound per week. This case, look, it's not bad. It's not you're patient. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as weight loss is still happening, you're gonna get there. You're not gonna get there as fast as this individual. And usually I say, guys, let's, cut it right down the middle. 1.5 pounds per week. That is going to be a good rate of weight loss. Not too fast, not too slow. It's a good target to aim for. That's what I like to aim for myself. And guys, that's it. We're in the home stretch now. You take that original, weight difference that you figured out, your current weight subtracted by your goal weight, you divide that by 1.5, a good target rate of weight loss to aim for, or you plug in whatever rate of weight loss you are currently at right now. In this case, 22 divided by 1.5 for this individual, a 200-pound guy who wants to get down to 13% body fat, losing approximately 1.5 pounds per week, and maintaining about 97% of his lean body mass, a reasonable conservative amount. It will take 14, what is 14? Who says that? It will take 14 weeks. So we're looking at about 3.5 months of a cut, a reasonable time frame. Let's say you're gonna do approximately 2, you're gonna lose 2 pounds every week. Well, in that case, this actually comes out to 11 weeks. So again, not surprisingly, as your rate of weight loss fluctuate on a week-to-week basis, this is going to fluctuate with it. But again, in this case, I think a reasonable example, 3.5 months, maybe 4 months to be a little extra conservative. That's it. And guys, follow along. Hopefully you've done so already. Follow through this. Pause if you need to on this video. You can do it on a piece of paper. Again, this is nothing subtracting, division. We're not really doing anything more than like what a typical 6th grader can do. Follow along, and this way, I think it'll motivate you a lot more. Instead of saying, I want to get lean and I don't know when it's going to happen, do this and you'll have a pretty good estimate on literally like exactly 11.5 or whatever weeks on, August 8th, I will be approximately 13% body fat, and I will have that six pack that I so greatly desire.
Hadouken!